Hi, we are starting, I think that it's lesson 8. It is chapter 13. We're continuing on with our data science and statistics chapter. In this chapter, we're going to be talking about measures of central tendency. We're going to leave variation for next week. So measures of central tendency would be the mean, the median, and the mode. So hopefully this won't be a hard section for you. So there's two different important aspects of data, and that is the center and the spread. And so the center is what we're talking about this week, which is also called central tendency. And so that's going to be the mean, the median, and the mode. And next week we'll talk about the range, which is the difference from high to low. We'll talk about the variance and the standard deviation next week. Okay, so the way that we find the mean is they give you this very math formula here, but all it means is that you sum up all of the entries and divide by the number of entries. Okay? So it's the sum over the number. Let's write that. You also can use that symbol for the mean, and so it's the sum of all the entries over the number of entries. And that's how you're going to do it. And of course you can use a calculator in the class, so it shouldn't be too hard to calculate. The first thing that they wanted to give you an example of the mean, and so they talked about a baker having leftover cookies. And so on this, let's say that they were serving cookies at a function, and this is how the trays looked like, but they wanted to level them out. So the way that you would level them out and make them more even is to do them in the slide, in the photo B there. So what they did was they counted the number of cookies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cookies, and we divided it by the number of trays, which was 5 trays, and 10 divided by 5 should give us the average number of cookies we should serve per tray. It also shows you a picture of the average or averaging things out. So we went from this picture where they look like this, right, to looking more leveled out is what we did, more average. The next thing we talk about is the median, and the median I always think about when I describe it as the median of the highway. It's the center of the highway. So when you are finding the median, the first thing you have to do is always make sure you put them in order, least to greatest. Now, then, once you put them in order, you're looking at the number of terms. If the number of terms is odd, then the middle number is your median. But the number of terms is even, that n is even, then you have to take the average of the two. And we'll do some examples of that. On this slide, it talks about the median being reported inside the interquartile range, which we'll do next week. So let's talk about that for just a second. Data looks like this. You have a low value and a high value, and in the middle is the median. So when they start talking about the interquartile range next week, that'll be 5 different numbers that they're speaking of. It'll be the low, the high, the median, and then in between those two, you'll have two other data pieces, which we call quartile. Oh goodness, they're the interquartile range, the low quartile and the high quartile. We'll give it its fancy name next week. But next week you're going to use this median in your calculations, and you're going to give a 5-point spread, and that's how they find the 5 points. So that's how the median's going to go forward with this next week. The mode is the easiest one to find because it's the one that occurs the most often, the one that appears the most frequently. And I'm just skimming over these PowerPoint slides because you can read them. If you needed me to slow down on them, you can read all of those. What you need me to do, though, is work the problems. So that's why I flipped through those kind of quickly. They give you a kind of baby example of the mean, the median, and the mode here. And so they show you the mean. We just add up all those values and divide by 6. And where we got the 6 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. So that's where we got that value there. So we add them up and divide by 6. Now, the way they found the median is this. See how it has 6 terms? First of all, you notice that they're all in order. They have to be in order first. It has 6 terms. So since it has 6 terms, the halfway point is in between since it has 6 terms, you have 3 on the left and 3 on the right. So the halfway point, the median, would be in between that value. So what they did to find the median was they took the 70 and they took the 95 and they took the average of them. And 82.5 would be the direct center of that data set. Okay? If you also look at this data set, you'll notice that the mode, there are 2 of them, because 60 occurs twice and 95 occurs twice, so that means there are 2 modes for this particular problem. Okay, the next thing they start talking about, I don't think I ask you very many questions like this, but they ask you, what is the best way to describe the data? Get all my pages lined up. Sorry about that delay. There it is. So they give you an example of a company, and in that company, the president of the company gets $200,000 a year, the vice president $75,000 a year, and then there are 18 part-time workers that get $10,000 a year. So let's think about that for a second. The 18 workers getting $10,000 a year would make $180,000. So all 18 of those don't make even what the president makes, even if you add them together, right? So if you figured out the mean of this, it says you would add them all up. So you would have 18 of these. So 18, you'd write 10,000 18 times, right? Thinking about it. So we'd have 180,000 here, adding these up, and we would get a mean of 22,750. Well, that's not very representative of this data set, since there are 18 people that are underneath the mean value. And so we would want to use a different measure of central tendency. The mean salary of $22,750 is just not representative. So you could say the median, or the mode, both of which would be $10,000, would describe it better. So let's talk about that. So if we did write all these out, there are 18 entries here, 19 and 20. So there are 20 entries in this set. If you wrote out 10,000 18 times, first of all, you know your mode would be 10,000 because there are 18 of those in the data set. But secondly, your median would also be 10,000 because writing them out, 10,000 would be in the center. So 10,000 more accurately describes what the major contributors of this company would be making. The mean is affected by extreme values, and the median is not usually. Okay, so they give you this test score group, and so we see all of these, and it says that the median score is 92. So let's find it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 terms. Okay, so the median is going to be in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. This is your median. Remember, it says if the number of terms is odd, the median is just the middle score. So you have 4 to the left and 4 to the right. So this is your median. But does 92 represent this set very well as an average? Not really, because you have some people that made 30 and 35 and 40, and so the median is an A, but those are really low, right? So if you average these together, you would get a value of 69, and that is more representative of this sample. Okay, and then they show you another example. We're going to skip over that. I'll let you read that one. All right, so then we will come finally to the problems, and so I will cover this in the next video.